unified group that's been working toward Super Bowl and what we're going to bring, which will be an outstanding event for the city of New Orleans. There are several speakers today. We'd like to hear from all of them and get all of the necessary information for Super Bowl. And with that, we introduce our mayor to lead off. Mayor LaToya Cantrell.
Thank you, Mr. Terry, and thank you all so much for being here and what you've done even collectively to get us to this point. Definitely, we know that we are stronger together. Where we all fit in, it matters, and I want you all to know that. In my first briefing, NFL briefing, after our tragedy on Jan 1, I have to say that we really were both aligned in making sure that the fabric of the city of New Orleans would be our priority. Hearing Kathy right at that table saying, listen, we want to make sure that this city, the city of New Orleans, the best way possible, that it was the focal point. It wasn't the game, it was this city, it was her people. And hearing that from the NFL leadership, it really did take me back even 20 years ago after Hurricane Katrina. And that was the same focus of the NFL at that time, just genuine concern about the city of New Orleans. And even with the NFL returning to the city and that opening game in our Superdome, just transformative. What it did to our soul, what it did to our city, what it did to our people collectively. So in thinking about that, of course, it brought me back to me being a community organizer and leader of Broadmoor, not being elected to anything but my neighborhood organization, and where we rallied as a community to rebuild our community, but led the city of New Orleans in grassroots recovery as well. But that is the spirit that I felt in that first briefing with the NFL at the table after January 1. And my heart also was and has been filled with the acts of heroism just in the wake of the tragedy on Bourbon Street, like our New Orleans Police Department officers who answered the call and saved countless lives. Unimaginable. Not only what happened, but their act in being swift and responding in real time, we know without a doubt, saved lives and an even greater catastrophe in the city of New Orleans. But not just, of course, our New Orleans Police Department officers, whether that was fire department, EMS, but again, responding to the needs of our people. Other acts of heroism, like Tiger Beck, who pushed, a girl out of the way, saved a life, only for his life to be taken. And I just have to say, where there is heroism, there's hope, no doubt about it. But that hope is filled in the city of New Orleans, and I just want to continue to thank all of the people of our community, all of those throughout this country, all of those throughout the world that has just been nonstop showing their love, sharing their love and dedication to the city of New Orleans. Even Miss H, who approached me at Galatoire's at lunch on Tuesday on Bourbon Street saying, listen, I had to get in a car, I had to drive to the city of New Orleans with my best friends so that we can demonstrate the real love that we have for the city of New Orleans. And we believe that with this Super Bowl, that love will not stop. It will only be stronger. And I also have to say, even Miss Tammy, today prior to coming here, I get a box of prayer cards that Miss Tammy put together from Arizona, sending a letter and just saying, listen, please give these prayer cards to our victims, to our first responders, anyone who wants to be united in prayer, because we know collectively, and I do personally, that prayer actually works and it changes things. So acts of love and kindness, like the ones that I've talked about, just keep us keeping on, keeps us standing strong and really moving forward, but forward together with respect, with dignity, and with love. We have also asked, and as you know, in terms of the president for additional support and tactical expertise in the city of New Orleans. That has come by way of a Tier 1 upgrade that we received on Monday, but also from having our Department of Homeland Security and Federal Protective Services in the city of New Orleans on today, where we had our first meeting, boots on the ground, ready to serve. My administration just continues to demonstrate our commitment to getting all the resources that we need, again, for our city, because we know that we're built to host. We also, on yesterday, we welcomed former Commissioner Bill Bratton to the city of New Orleans, and welcoming, again, his expertise, again, to support the dedicated men and women of the New Orleans Police Department. Our unified command has been working for over 2 years now on plans and activations in preparation for Super Bowl 59. So we know that we're ready, but guess what? We're wanting to double down on those efforts just to make sure if we can harden target areas, we're wanting to do that. And as I explained on yesterday, we are open for recommendations, but at the end of the day, to implement and move forward. You know, so much has gone into getting us to where we are right now. And it's taken all of our partners, all of our departments, again, leaning on in to get the job done. The city of New Orleans, as you know, we have the full support of our Louisiana State Police and the Louisiana National Guard to really put more boots on the ground as we host Super Bowl 59. The city is also working with multiple law enforcement agencies to put in place proven safety barriers, and as I mentioned, to harden our security measures. I've been visiting local businesses and talking with all of our employees and workers and the like that continue to just serve our residents and continue really to serve the visitors of this community. So as an extra layer and a part of our security in terms of investment and focus, we will be working with our businesses, we'll be working with our employees of those businesses, the French Quarter and the downtown area, also various departments, whether it's sanitation, park and parkways and the like. But we're going to stand up, and this is going to come from our federal partners, a training that's forthcoming, and we'll do it in short order to ensure that, hey, our observers are prepared to respond and also be met with the expertise that they need to know if they see something, say something, but giving them the fabric and the confidence that they need to continue to demonstrate their love and their work ethic and what they give to our city every single day. All across the city, you're going to see, and you've started to begin to see, the Super Bowl signage and the build-out, again, as we count down to the big game. Our city's Super Gras meetings, we call them Super Gras because guess what? 2 weeks later, we'll be entering Mardi Gras season. And so we've been looking in terms of preparation just holistically. And that battle rhythm just hasn't stopped. It's been every week. And I tell you, it's paying off and it will pay off big for the city of New Orleans. Our city's cyber command is ready and prepared also for the big game. And in addition to the game, for Mardi Gras season as well. The Greater New Orleans Foundation, as you know, will continue to partner with the city as we collectively support our victims. We know that our victims and families, they remain in our hearts and our prayers, and also as we focus on them, we're wanting to ensure that the FBI Victim Services Assistance is something that they can continue to depend on. I do know that I've recently learned from Governor Landry, one donor, that he has identified is making a full commitment of $10,000 each to our 14 families. Again, we're focusing on our people every step of the way, not leaving people behind as we focus on Super Bowl 59, just bring our people along. So our full culture, as you know, will be on full display for the world to see as we host our 11th record-tying Super Bowl in the city of New Orleans. And we're going to show the love because we know that we are New Orleans strong. So with that, I am going to bring up leaders that you're going to hear from. We're going to start with our CAO, Gilbert Montano, and you'll hear from other leaders at this press conference, and of course, we'll take questions after the fact. But Gilbert, please come up. Thank you so much for your leadership, for managing the Super Grau meetings, and just for doing everything necessary again to make sure that we're prepared, because we know that we're built to host. Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Appreciate the time and the opportunity to speak, especially to this room. Everyone in this room I've seen countless times at the table working hard and diligently to prepare for the Super Bowl. And I will want to tell the community we will be ready for the Super Bowl, both operationally, professionally, and from the public safety standpoint. We have all leaned in to the extent of almost working 18-hour days in some cases to ensure that we have the groundwork laid so that we can have the most successful Super Bowl in history. I get to say thank you to everybody, both at the state level, the city council level, the business community level, the external partners level. If only the community and the media would see how many people are at the table to make this a success. We get to just talk about it and celebrate it and thank, but there are countless numbers of unspoken individuals that really do the heavy lifting to make sure that this is a success. And I do want to take that time and thank you. We, once again, are putting every resource available. We are not shortchanging anything as it relates to Super Bowl or the preparation of Super Bowl. What I've told directors, what I've told chiefs and agencies is that let's prepare and use whatever we need means necessary financially, and we'll worry about that after the fact, because we do need to have the greatest show on earth, and likewise, in a few weeks, be prepared for Mardi Gras and all the other events. I'm going to be very brief because I really wanted to center it around thank you and acknowledgement of those unspoken names and individuals that do so much of the work, and of course our leaders with the state, the city council, the business community, the community groups, and of course you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gilbert.
And then next is good friend, Chief Kirkpatrick.
Well, thank you, everyone. Last week, after the aftermath of this tragic event, I promised this community that I would lead us not only through the crisis, but to the future. And so today, we are going to be talking about the future, which is Super Bowl, which is coming up. With absolutely all the law enforcement cops you're going to see out there for Super Bowl, you're going to think you're in a sea of blue. We are going to have, of course, 100% all hands on deck by NOPD, and that is several hundred officers alone. But with our partnerships from our state, our county, or excuse me, parish sheriff deputies, and the feds who are going to come here, we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of officers. The NFL security team is confident in our security safety plan, and we are too. So come to New Orleans and absolutely experience this incredible, wonderful city with its wonderful, rich culture. I assure you, you will enjoy it, and you can come with great confidence because we have a safety plan that the NFL is very pleased with. So with that, I'll turn it over to is it Colin? Are you next? Colin, come on.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your leadership. It's with heavy hearts that we started 2025 responding to the Bourbon Street attack. While we continue to grieve with the victims and families, we continue to work alongside our local, state, and federal partners to ensure the safety of our residents and visitors during large-scale events. The residents and visitors of this city deserve nothing less from all of their public safety departments. Super Bowl will be held on Sunday, February 9th at the Caesars Superdome. At least 100,000 visitors will be drawn in for Super Bowl and the events leading up to it. Hundreds of millions of people will be watching. We will continue to work with local, state, and federal partners to coordinate resources in support of Super Bowl, including the substantial federal assistance offered under the SEER 1 designation. We've been planning for this for 2 years. We're ready. Here in New Orleans, we're built to host large-scale events. We invite residents and visitors to enjoy the festivities, but urge people to stay aware of their surroundings and take care in large crowds. You're going to hear this a lot, but if you see something, say something. Say something to any of the police officers, first responders, whether they're NOPD, whether they're Louisiana State Police, whether they're National Guard, whether they're parish sheriffs, we're all on the same radio channels. One of the things we've learned out of the adversity 20 years ago was that we all need to be able to communicate and be unified together. We have the most redundant radio system and interoperable system in the United States of America. Every one of our first responders will be on that radio system. Every one of our public works officials, every one of our parks workers, every one of our NORD employees has radios that are interoperable with each other and can talk to each other. So if you see something, flag down someone, a fireman, a paramedic, anyone, that's your first line. You can also call 1-800-434-8007. That is a U.S. tip line for See Something, Say Something that is referred directly to the city. We'll also be, I'm happy to say, in the next coming weeks, we'll be debuting a NOLA Ready app. It'll be available on all devices. This app will be able to be used during any disaster, any special event, and will give people at their fingertips, on their phone, the ability to pull up all manner of services, all manner of dashboards that the city offers, whether it be weather, traffic, parade routing, whether it be sewage and water board pump dashboard, whether it be levy status. We've got a lot ready for this app, and we're excited to debut it. We'll be pushing this out locally, obviously, but even our tourists that come here, I think, would find value in this. Of course, if it's an emergency, call 911. Sign up for NOLA Ready emergency alerts by texting NOLA Ready, one word, to 77295. This has been a very difficult week. I can say that my staff and the staff that we work with and all of our partners have been unified all week. It's hard to believe it's another Friday. We extend and continue to extend our gratitude to our local, state, and federal partners as we work together to ensure that we're prepared to host Super Bowl 59. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Next up is Joe Threat, our Deputy CEO of Infrastructure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, we must remember to keep those who lost their lives and were injured in the attack on New Year's in our thoughts and prayers. I'd like to thank the residents and businesses for their continued patience in allowing this infrastructure subcommittee to finish our work as we lead up to Super Bowl and very soon Mardi Gras. Like I always say, progress is painful, and this has been a heavy lift of construction for the city in preparation for this season, in addition to all of our other federal and bond-funded project works we have going on in the city right now. After my appointment by the mayor as the chair for Super Bowl Subcommittee for Infrastructure, our team of approximately 88 stakeholders started our strategic and deliberate planning and programming of all projects twice a week from April this year, with a scheduled completion date of January 31st. I must report at this time, we are in a 90 percentile rate of completion of over 200 major projects. They were planned in the areas of infrastructure and beautification for the city in preparation for Super Bowl 59 and Mardi Gras. And we can see the finish line. I'm sure you can see the products of transformation throughout the city in a host of positive ways. These projects are not only in preparation for Super Bowl 59 and Mardi Gras, which come a few weeks after, but they represent a long-term investment of projects that will last many years after these events are complete for the great city of New Orleans. I'd like to give a big thanks to the mayor, CL Montano, the governor's office, all the state agencies for their support, the NFL, who are great partners in collaboration. Specific gratitude to the Department of Transportation, Sewer and Water Board partners, my co-chairs, Lenitra Hassan, Kim LeGroux, all the city and administrative departments and offices, especially in OPD. And I'd be remiss not to give a big shout out to our stakeholders whose dedication and enormous amount of time in addition to their regular day work schedule. These includes our utilities, Energy, Cox, Verizon, AT&T, Arts Council, Downtown Development District, GNO Inc., host committees of Sports Foundation, ASN, convention centers, both airports, Lakefront, Louis Armstrong Airport, French Market Corporation, French Quarter Management Corporation, New Orleans and Company, RTA, Autobahn, NOBC, Nighttime Economy, and Cultural Economy. We look forward to the upcoming Supergraw as my committee teams would coin the event, and the opportunity to be able to continue to provide the residents of this city infrastructure improvements that will benefit and improve their way of living. I've been joined here today by my director, who's been lifting heavy, Rick Hathaway, and he'll be able to answer any questions as far as road closures, street completions after this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Chief Nelson,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Echoing Chief Ann's sentiments, the New Orleans Fire Department will be fully staffed. All of your first responders, of course, will be fully staffed for Super Bowl or Super Gras, as we've been calling it. We have tremendous support from throughout the regions, just like the other first response agencies. The fire departments throughout the region will be helping to support us where needed, whether it be with hazardous materials technicians or the firefighters to help to support our efforts. Additionally, I know while not directly Super Bowl related, the Louisiana State Fire Marshal announced their Area NOLA initiative to focus specifically on the city of New Orleans. We support that effort 100%. The State Fire Marshal is a steadfast partner with the New Orleans Fire Department. We work well together. They've been an excellent resource throughout our region, but now additional resources focused specifically on the city of New Orleans will only benefit everyone in the city, so that's great news. Our fire prevention teams will be working and already are working with the vendors and the different entities to make sure that capacity is met, plans are in place for exit routes and everything like that, so all of that is taken care of. We'll be supporting the various operations centers throughout the city, making sure we have a presence, again, for that information flow throughout the first response community that's going to be working the Super Bowl. Our hazardous materials team and our special operations teams will be on standby for any events that happen or any incidents that might occur. We also have some new specialized equipment that we've obtained specifically for Super Bowl and for other related events. We've got a new nice foam trailer that gives us tremendous firefighting capability even with limited water. It helps us to fight specialized fires. We've got some new carts and Polarises that'll help us to navigate around the Super Bowl site, so we're prepared to cover anything that may arise. And also, we're working this year in conjunction with New Orleans EMS to do a team effort to have a rescue task force prepared that, God forbid, we should have some kind of traumatic event, that we'll have our first responders together ready to respond in case anything like that would happen. But we're prepared, the city is ready, and we're looking forward to a great Super Bowl, Super Gras, Mardi Gras season. So, thank you.
We'll start off also by thanking Madam Mayor and everybody who takes part in planning for special events. You certainly have a very experienced team here. I also want to start off by remembering everyone impacted by last week's attack. We support and grieve with you. While a tragedy, it demonstrated our ability to mobilize as a community, and we will not bow down to terror. Absolutely not. The city agencies here today are the best in the business, especially at hosting large events. We do it all the time. In fact, many of us that are here, we've participated in planning for and executing successful Super Bowls in the past. Yeah, many of us have been here for several of them. So you have a very experienced team leading the city. And so be very proud of that. Feel comfortable with that you will be safe. We appreciate the support of our state and federal partners, ensuring additional safety, additional resources, and we really appreciate that support. New Orleans EMS is ready. We'll be at full staffing with additional resources citywide, and specifically in the hospitality zone. So that's downtown, French Quarter, around the Superdome and areas like that. We will provide on-site medical coverage in conjunction with Ochsner at the Memorial Convention Center and other venues hosting Super Bowl events. Acadian Ambulance will support our 911 operations and also provide on-site medical services at the Superdome and areas within the secure perimeter. We want everyone to come and enjoy all that New Orleans has to offer. As always, be safe. Call 911 for police, fire, or medical emergencies. And if you see something, say something. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Bell. As the mayor always says, stronger together, New Orleans strong. Every time I hear that multiple times a day. It's always refreshing, and she means it. And we're stronger together with our city council. So this unified command, this unified group, as we continue to proceed with all that is before us to do, we certainly want to recognize our council. Council President J.P. Morrell, would you come and get some remarks?
I want to begin by bringing greetings on behalf of the entire New Orleans City Council, in particular Council Vice President Moreno, Councilmember Eugene Green, and Councilmember Oliver Thomas, who are with us today. I want to also begin by recognizing the tragedy, the victims and survivors. We mourn with you, we will never forget, and even if you're not from here, you are family now, and we support our families. I want to thank the mayor and the governor in particular for securing Tier 1 designation for Mardi Gras. I think it's very important when you look at the assets being deployed for what will be one of the safest Super Bowls in history, that we continue that level of safety and security into our Mardi Gras season. It is what our citizens deserve, and I want to especially thank the mayor for seeking that designation for several years before it was finally granted. I want to thank our first responders, EMS, fire, and police, because I think it's important to note that though we just faced this horrific tragedy, our first responders have immediately pivoted back to their job. We celebrated our NOPD just recently at the council meeting for what they did and how they ran towards danger, but it is important to note for citizens to understand what our first responders go through. They went from that tragedy to being back on the job and being Super Bowl ready. That takes a level of strength and toughness that you will not find in almost any city in the United States. When you are walking around, whether it be now, whether it be before Super Bowl or during Super Bowl, please take a moment to thank our first responders, because they are out there fighting and protecting you. I also want to note something else. We are a city that people often say we are the most resilient city in America. And I talk to a lot of people who are kind of tired of being called resilient, because that kind of indicates you're always getting punched in the face. But as a city, we always stand up. We will never be defined by tragedy. We are defined by triumph, because as a city, we always come back better and stronger after all of these events. Our city has faced more tribulations than most I can think of that still exist, and we always come back and we always do what is necessary. We are a city that is renowned for being one of the best cities to have a Super Bowl in. As the mayor stated, that's the reason why we're hosting our 11th. For those people coming to New Orleans to enjoy our Super Bowl, we have the greatest hospitality in America. For those people who recently visited during the Taylor Swift concerts, Everyone who left said, this is a tremendously amazing, welcoming place. We are still that place. You will still be welcomed. You will still enjoy everything that New Orleans has to offer. Lastly, I want to note that for those of you who've been around downtown, you've seen the tremendous amount of artwork that's being thrown up at a record pace. In particular, it has been amazing walking by the B. Mike mural outside City Hall. The amount of artwork and culture that will be on display during the Super Bowl season is monumental. And even for those who will come to New Orleans and will not enjoy the game because you can't get a ticket, there will be tremendous opportunities to enjoy our art and culture. And I encourage everyone who can to come to New Orleans. We'll take good care of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And certainly, once again, want to echo the Councilman's sentiment and thank Councilmember Moreno, Councilmember Green, who's here, Councilmember Thomas, for all of their continued hard work. We will continue our press conference with Ron Hankins from the RTA to talk about their continued plan and how we will move our citizens and our visitors around the city through the Super Bowl time.
Good afternoon. I want to echo everyone's comments about the recent tragedies, and my sympathy and my agency's sympathy goes out to our community. We are proud to partner with the city, the state, and federal agencies to provide seamless transportation for our residents and visitors during this week. The RTA offers a convenient way for attendees to attend downtown festivities. Like was echoed, we have worked and adjusted our plan around the security and safety. Our operators know and are ready to respond to see something, say something. So if there's an unattended packages, please just let our operators know and we'll contact dispatch and handle it accordingly. We actively support our city during these major events. All of this information will also be on our website, our app, and our ride line, 504-248-RIDE. Beginning January 30th, due to some of the setups around the NFL honors, there will be some delays around the Sanger Theater. Additionally, on February 6th, the 8th, and the 9th, there will be some pivoting of routes, and all of that information will be on our website, and our rider's guide, a written guide, will be available to riders at the airport, at the library, with the detailed maps on exactly our pivots. And the RTA stands ready to support our city and our first responders as needed during this event.
Thank you, we really appreciate it. On the morning of the tragedy, when the mayor and I were together, and she was working the phone and talking to numerous people, I started calling some of our city leaders, and among them were our friends in tourism who work to host visitors that are coming to our city. Reaching out to them individually and to a person, they all ask the same thing: what can we do? How can we step forward? So we thank them for that. Our friend Kelly Schultz is here to represent the tourism industry, and what they will be doing. Our city is built to host. They will be sharing information on how we will continue to welcome visitors here in our great city.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm here today on behalf of Walt Leger, our President and CEO at New Orleans & Company. As you all know, we are the official destination sales and marketing organization for our community's tourism industry. And I want to stress that when it comes to the Super Bowl or Mardi Gras or conventions, there are major conventions in the city this week, as there will be next week, and at the end of the month, we're going to host the annual meeting of the National Association of Automobile Dealers. That will bring 25,000 people to our city. It's been a customer of ours since the 1970s. So we are absolutely confident. We are a sales and marketing organization. We are not law enforcement experts, but we have absolute confidence in every expert that has been put into place for everything that has been done, especially with the enhancements that have been made for security. In the days since January 1, we have been asked a lot, what do you say to visitors now? And as you all know, our visitors are very important, but it's not only about the visitor. It's about all of us who live and work here. and it's about the 80,000 people whose livelihoods depend on a thriving travel and tourism community. So when we're asked that question, this is what we've said. First, New Orleans continues to mourn the victims. We pray for and send condolences to the victims, their families. We know many people are still injured and hospitalized, and that there are people whose lives have forever been changed by this horrific act. We also salute our heroes, the New Orleans Police Department, the state police, the first responders, all of the law enforcement partners who ran to danger and definitely saved countless lives and ended the attack. We can never, ever, ever thank them enough. The second thing we say, and you've heard this a lot today, is that New Orleans is united. All of us in this room, our business community, our tourism community, we are united to ensure that this city remains an amazing place to live, work, visit, and invest in. A single act of an evil by an ISIS-inspired terrorist will never, ever deter us. In fact, it's only strengthened our resolve. We also tell them that New Orleans is not alone. As the mayor said, she has received so many condolences from around the world. We have as well. We've heard from customers and friends, even competitor cities from around the world since this attack, and they've said, we love you, we support you, and we are with you. And we know that many other cities have had terrorist attacks and that we have stood with them. And so as we mourn, we plan a stronger future, and we think about those places that have had similar attacks. We also say that New Orleans is built to host, and we're especially built to host the Super Bowl. Millions of people come to this city every year for the same reason that we all live and work here, and that is because of welcoming people, a beautiful culture, and our ability to celebrate life and to host complex events in a way that no other city can. So whether that is a Super Bowl or a Mardi Gras or festivals or meetings and conventions, people know that we know how to host events, and there's a reason why New Orleans has done the Super Bowl now for the 11th time. And finally, what we say to them is New Orleans is eternal. For hundreds of years, New Orleans has been an important global city, a port city, and the creator of some of the world's best food, music, and traditions. We've survived wars, pandemics, floods, much more. This city shines brightly and is a unique light in the minds and imaginations of people from all over the world. And that light will not be dimmed by a single act of evil. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We also want to make sure that we thank Governor Landry and Ms. Landry. They wanted to be here today, but just put out for some other things that they have to work on the state level. They simply want to thank you for your continued partnership. And Ms. Benson and the Orleans Saints did bring and two gentlemen that are here, certainly downtown Development District. Thank you for all that you are continuing to do. Jay Cicero, my longtime friend, for all the hours that you're putting in to continue to make this, and Mr. Marcus Brown for being the chair for the NFL host committee, the power which you really, really, really appreciate. With that, we'll bring our mayor back up for closing remarks, and then we'll take questions.
Well, as you... Okay. Well, as you've heard of the City of New Orleans, we are more than ready to host Super Bowl 59, and we are just saying, come to the City of New Orleans and just feel the love, and we're just NOLA strong. So with that, Mr. Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. James, we usually take ladies first, but we'll go to you. No, go right ahead.
Which city agency will be responsible for deploying security assets for the Super Bowl?
Colin, you want to?
It's unified. It's a unified command in terms of responding to assets that will be deployed for Super Bowl. So it's multiple agencies, many that you heard from today, in addition to those who are not here but are part of the unified command.
Is that the case for New Year's Eve as well?
For New Year's Eve, well, New Year's Eve was not a Tier 1, I would say rated event, if you will. So with the Tier 1 and for the Super Bowl, we will have an unprecedented amount of assets that will be deployed strategically throughout the city of New Orleans. So federal, state, local, all of our partners will be a part of that unified command and deploying assets strategically.
How were decisions on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day made as far as deploying security assets?
In terms of New Year's Eve, in terms of deployment, the New Orleans Police Department in partnership with our law enforcement partners.
All right, thank you, Carl.
Yeah, what I mentioned was that the Federal Protective Services and the Department of Homeland Security were in New Orleans and are in New Orleans on today. They arrived today. We started with a meeting at the New Orleans Police Department headquarters. And so, yes, we started collaborative efforts, and that will be I would say not butting heads with Commissioner Braden, but working in collaboration across all lines to ensure that we're hardening targeted areas throughout the city of New Orleans. And Chief, you can add, if you need to, get me straight.
Yeah, Mayor, you mentioned the Trained Observer Program. Can you talk a little bit more about that with the intended audience and just what will that entail?
Right, well, the Trained Observer Program is one that has been organized at the federal level and through our federal partners in terms of protective services. It's called First Observers Plus. It was one of the, I would say, resources we discussed in detail this morning in our meeting, and as a way to immediately begin to engage the public, meaning the people. Our greatest asset, which we keep hearing over and over and which we know, are our people. And so if we can engage them in training, and it is specifically on security and terrorism training, awareness training that we will be conducting. Learned about this again this morning, and it's something that I've committed to doing. And so in partnership with our federal partners and of course our local agencies, businesses, hospitality industry, our workers and the like, several city departments. We're just going to have almost like a unified, if you will, training for all observers. But specifically, we know from what happened on Jan 1 that this could be beneficial, I would say, to the city of New Orleans holistically and into the future. Because we're not just planning for Super Bowl and for Mardi Gras, we're looking at the long term, meaning long-term sustainability within the city of New Orleans for years to come. I can't hear. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, like we always do, we are a welcoming city, and we're making sure that we have, whether it's language access or programming that's in place, as we do every day, but definitely building that into how we serve our community. And so it will be nothing changed. It's what we do every single day as it relates to our non-English speaking residents and or visitors in the city of New Orleans. So that is one of the areas that we are seeking expertise in to ensure that we're looking at all equipment, if you will, that could meet our needs on the ground. The current infrastructure improvements around the bollards on Bourbon Street right now is a part of our Super Bowl infrastructure package, if you will. That was to improve and really bring in new equipment that we have not had before. But I tell you, we're going even deeper with that, and so more to come. This is why I would say Commissioner Bratton is here. This is also why we've leaned into federal support as well. There are, I would say, over 5 different type of equipment barriers that I've been presented with, even as early as this morning. But what we're saying, we're combing through all, and we're going to make sure that the best is what we get for the city of New Orleans. And so that is a part of what we're working on. And you can add anything to add on that, but just get me straight. But looking at all equipment measures.
As far as memorializing some of the victims, either for during Super Bowl or any sort of plan, any conversations with the NFL on how to honor the victims during the actual game?
No specific conversations that I've had with the Super Bowl or the NFL to date relative to memorializing our victims, but I can tell you that it is on our minds and definitely in our hearts. But it will be a collaborative approach to that. So it's going to be from residents that have already stepped up and exhibited heroism and reaching out a hand to touch a heart. So it will not be left out, I would say, how this city hosts Super Bowl 59, especially when we think about 20 years even after Hurricane Katrina.
I know you talked briefly about the marches that have been visiting the city that was taken out of transport. I know there were some marches being placed on transport today. Does the city want to waiting for Mardi Gras to steady those also, or the capabilities to those there about Mardi Gras season?
So the archers, and I know, Colin, you can speak to this today. So yes, it is a current vendor that we have for those archers that has leaned into the city of New Orleans after Jan 1, wanting to do some mechanical upgrades, wanting to ensure that the city of New Orleans has their latest technology relative to those archers. We have received a shipment today. Even prior to coming here, I received a picture from Captain Robert saying that, hey, Mayor, they're right here, on Bourbon Street. So all of the equipment that we will see, not just in terms of the archers, we're looking to be with this city for the long term. Even what is stood up, for example, by the NFL in preparation for Super Bowl, we're working to ensure that they stay in place for Mardi Gras. But even further than that, we're making sure that we're able to purchase this type of equipment to stay with this city, with our city, for years to come. So this is not a one and done. This is not being tunnel vision about how we harden our targeted areas. This is being very intentional and being sure and making sure that what we do deploy is sustained over time. I'm sorry, Colin.
You got it. She got almost all of it, but what I would say is I'd like to thank Meridian Rapid Defense for, standing behind their product. They have a 25-year warranty. They came in to do warranty work. They're setting up some other things just to show us what's developed, and I will say that they're very proud to say that they do the Rose Parade, and so, we may see if they can do 33 Rose Parades.
Yes, we can give you several numbers, I would say, but understand that this will also grow, as we really determine what our deployment strategy in terms of enhancements will be to the plans that are in place. But I even know in terms of from a federal level, it's moved from 200 to 400, like overnight. So all hands are on deck here. Chief, you want to add anything?
So I'm going to give you general numbers, not specific. NLPD will provide approximately 400 officers. And you got to keep in mind, that's just to be assigned to Super Bowl. We still have to have officers service the streets 911 calls. And so we have to have a whole contingency of backbone officers. So about 400 to Super Bowl. Then the state police, I believe, are talking around 600. And then we have our parish counties who have also offered up. Let me give you what I understand the total package could look like. It will probably be around the 700 to close to 1,000, but it depends on the times of days. So, you know, time of day and which day, because Super Bowl is a one-week event. And so those are kind of the general numbers that will get you. And that doesn't even address the National Guard, military police, our feds. That is also a whole package back here.
Do you know any numbers on federal stuff, or is that just not enough there?
I can't hear.
He's asking if we know any, he wants to know more on the numbers from the federal side of it, which continues to fluctuate.
Yeah, I can get that to you, but I don't have it at this moment for you because it is also, we're staffing up a little bit more, obviously.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Reader, last comment? It's a question for you, Chief.
The safety plan? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Chief, that's what she was asking about the safety plan from the
The
NFL
safety
side.
plan, the safety plans right now are with the NFL, with us, and things like that. So the safety plan will need to remain with them for right now.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, this overall press conference that we had today, 30 days out, 29 days out, is a strong public to where we were and how ready. We will be pouring information out daily between our partners, from the Radio on Sports Foundation, our host committee, the NFL, on more information. So we will be getting more information daily. We appreciate you coming today. That wraps our press conference. Any individual things that you may have, I will try to address those after. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Thanks to all of our partners.
Thank you all.